Greetings viewers, this is Macho Maverick coming at you with another video. Today we're going to conclude the review for the Rescue Mark 49 by fully assembling the kit, along with sharing my thoughts on the kit as a whole, the good, the bad, in between, and of course, if this is a kit worth getting, my final verdict. So, without further ado, let's get straight to the assembling. And here we have the Rescue Mark 49 fully assembled. And by just first response, just looking at this all put together for the first time, I must admit I'm actually quite liking the color palette here. As I mentioned during the parts video, the titanium gold and the blue really do work well together. Even in those smaller areas with the gray or slash silver. So I really do like the way how this turned out. In terms of like body proportion, I would say I think the hips might be a little bit too wide in this to take. Granted, of course, this is for a feminine build, but really I wasn't too sure exactly what they were going to go with whenever they were putting, just having an idea of what this kit will look like fully assembled. But needless to say, though, that was the only gripe about it. I can understand the arms being a little bit slender, along with the legs too. So everything else just seems fine. I just feel like the hips were just a little bit wide. Granted, though, of course, you can adjust the hips a little bit and the thighs just so it can look maybe a little bit better. But aside from that, though, it's actually not too bad. But of course, the other thing that is a little bit grabbing me is, I don't know if you can tell from this position here, but to me, the stickers, of course, do stand out a little bit. The gold stickers, I don't mind too much just because there is gold with the kit as well. But the silver stickers do stand out a little bit more. I'm just not, again, personally, I'm not a big fan of stickers. The less, the better. And I just do find it odd that why would they put stickers on this kit, the Rescue Mark 49, and not the other kits I've done previously. So that's the one thing I will grab about. But other than that, though, I really do like the way how this looks all put together. Just like how I showed in the parts video, I'll show the articulation of every part. But now that the kit is fully put together, let's take a look at how the articulation changed, shall we? So, to start off with the head. The head seems a little bit stiff, actually. You can go just slight back and forth, like a little head swivel. It is on a ball joint, but I don't think it can do a full 360 spin. But it can move forward and back. And yeah, I think that's as far as it can go. Maybe it can do a little bit of a 180, or very close to a 180. At least from side to side, but it can go all the way to the back. There was a little torso or body movement. Like so. A little bit of the waist as well. The arms. If you actually move the shoulder panel a little bit, you can actually have a good range of motion. Shoulder can go all the way. Yep, there we go. You can actually move the arm out, like so. And do extend the forearm so you can actually have a nice bend. Close that up. The wrists are nothing more than a ball joint, so it can just go around like so. And of course, part of this gauntlet can move just so you can have more movement with the wrist and hands. The arms can stick out a little bit, like so. Put that down. And these pieces here and the torso can actually extend out a little bit, so you can have more motion for the shoulders. There we go. The legs can move like so. Oops. And try not to disconnect that. Like so. Alright, like so. The legs can move all the way like that, almost 360 until you actually pop the leg off. You can go side to side, nice little swivel there. There is a really nice knee bend, like so. The feet can go almost all around. You can actually move this up on the heel so you can have a little bit more motion. Of course, the toes can move forward. And last but not least, you have the jets on the back that can move out like so. Nice little pose there for jet propulsion. And that's about it for articulation. And here are some side-by-side comparisons. Here you have right beside the Master Grade Tall Geese. So yeah, definitely towers over the Tall Geese. The real grade Sazabi, and even with the pod that's sticking out on the back, even extending that to all the way, is still not tall enough compared to the Mark 49. And lastly, here we have with the high-end Master Model lightning sights. Well, if we were to change this like so, gives you a little bit definition. Actually, I think the lightning sights has a little bit more of a bulk to it. But still, it's kind of nice to see side by side. That's about it for side-by-side comparisons. And of course, with the action base, there are many possibilities of different poses. You can actually have the Mark 49 with, just like the other kits before, the other Morstorm kits. And the fact that this one specifically has some panels on the back that you can just fling open to showcase some jets or some sort of like propulsions, it actually is really nice to have that extra effect for this. I think the only other one before this kit that actually had it was the Mark 46, or the first one I actually did a review on. So I did, so I would say these two definitely match each other on that one. But yeah, so a simple flight action pose such as this really does make this kit stand out. And of course, just like the kits before this one, you do have a good amount of effect parts for both the hands and the feet, just so you can make this pose stand out. And of course, since this kit has LEDs just like the other Morstorm kits have, the one big test is to see is how the LEDs look just in regular light, and of course in the complete darkness. So it's what I like to call the LED light test. As you can see here, only because of the head and the chest, actually the lights actually are not too bad. Of course, the downside is just like the Mark 50, that one had a nano cannon, and the 46, Mark 46, had the little LED lights for the hands. Those stood out a little bit more. Whereas this one only had the head and the chest, but I still will admit that even total darkness, they do line up pretty well. And in case my camera is not too good for this, I do apologize. But needless to say, though, you can tell that it actually shines pretty nice in the dark. I figured 3 figures would be enough for right now, because if I were to add one more, I think it might be a little bit much. So I'll stick with the only one of the Iron Mans for this one. But as you can see here, having all the figures, or at least even a few of them, display like this and create some good enough poses, it can really create such a dynamic pose. You have everything happening at one shot. I will say this does give a really good idea though about some of the pieces that's involved in some of these pieces here. As you can tell from the Mark 46 drone, it just looks a little bit droopy there because that one of the pieces I just checked is cracked. So that's a bummer right there. But having the Rescue Mark 49, using the drone as a weapon like that does help. And of course, you see the Iron Spider there. But if you can tell, but when I was posing it, one of the hands just came off. So a piece was actually broken, which is a bummer. So I will say, whenever you try to handle any of these figures, do be careful. Some of these can be a little bit fragile. I think I do know that I said in the Iron Spider review that it was my least favorite, just because the talons or the spider legs on its back did give me the most trouble, and some of the pieces in the legs were a little bit flimsy. But that aside, though, if you were to have all the figures and you want to display this as such, I highly suggest you do so. But still, though, the fact that the Rescue Mark is actually holding the drone pretty well, I will give it that much due. I'll give that much credit to it. So yes, definitely something that I highly recommend doing. If you have more than one kit just displayed in a case, or even something like this. And here we have the Rescue Mark 49 with the Mark 50. Just to show you all that how this looks side by side with this one. And as I mentioned in my Mark 50 final part in the final verdict video, that I prefer the figure of the 46, but I like the accessories at the 50. But just to see how the Mark 49 compares in terms of color, and of course just to see how this looks side by side. But at this point, though, I do want to share my final thoughts. The good, the bad, and everything else in between, along with the final verdict. Is this a kit worth getting? So, with the good. The good is the color. I really do like the blue and the titanium gold. It does match pretty well with it. It has a really good, nice combination to it, so I can't deny that. I really do like the way how that is. Another pro, of course, is the articulation. This one, I would say, is actually pretty solid. I wouldn't give it too bad a review in terms of the articulation. This is definitely better than the Iron Spider. The Iron Spider just a little bit flimsy due to some of the parts, and I just mentioned that a hand broke off, so there goes for that. But in this case, though, the articulation is doing pretty well. And that kind of goes with, I guess, part 3, or really 2.5, if you think about it, is the posing. So definitely a nice way of poses. whether it be just a figure or even if you want to use a drone by itself or even in a weapon form such as this, definitely is very promising. Proportion wise, again, this kind of goes back and forth since I mentioned before. Everything else is fine. It's just the hips is just a little bit too much. I get it. It's supposed to have like a feminine look, but I think it's a little bit too much in that aspect. I would say another plus that I haven't really mentioned too much of, but I figured that I should mention it now, is the price. I would say the price-wise is decent. It's a little bit more than most master grade gunpla kits, but I would say it could match up with some of the high-end master model Zord kits that I built. And there's actually a link to that below in case you are interested in getting this. But aside from the good, that's all I can think of at the moment. So I definitely will share more in case it comes up. But in terms of the bad, there's a few. One bad that I've mentioned it many times before is all the stickers. I'm sorry, a few stickers is fine, but to really make it the arm stand out a little bit, even the torso stand out a little bit, what's the purpose of that? I'm not a big fan of stickers. I wish they were not there. That was the main bad actually. In terms of placement of all the kits I built so far, this is definitely above the Iron Spider. I was gonna say this might be above the 50, but because the 50 has more accessories, I would say that this is just slightly below the 50, but not by far. But Iron Spider is definitely the bottom of the list of the Morstorm kits I built thus far. And I would say that the Mark 46 is still above the 50 just because I like the color of the kit a little bit more. But again, it's not by much. Just the Mark 50 has better accessories. But with that being said, since I mentioned a few things about the good and the bad, and I'm hoping I'm not missing anything, the final verdict: is this a kit worth getting? I will say yes. This is a kit worth getting. Whether you are a Marvel fan, whether you are a hobbyist like a model kit builder such as myself, I would say this is definitely a kit worth getting. I found the build very easy. It wasn't too complex. Yes, I did say in the first video in the unboxing that it shouldn't take too long to upload, but like I said, I just been busy. But naturally though, I would say the kit itself, the build was very simple, a little bit easier than the previous builds of the Morstorm line I've built thus far. So I would say that's actually a really good plus. Is I would say the build was the easiest compared to the other previous 3 kits I built thus far. So I'll give it that. So yes, I would say that this is definitely a kit worth getting. Add it to your Marvel collection, add it to your model kit collection. Definitely a thumbs up for me. Thank you all for watching. I know this was long overdue, but again, I'm just thankful that I have the time now to share my thoughts and on this review of the Mark 49. Like I said, it was a fun build. It was pretty simple. Definitely the easiest among the 4 thus far, including this one. But I did have fun building this kit. I do like the way how it looks, and I hope if you decide to pick this up, I hope you enjoy too. But there's still one more kit for this Morstorm line, so stay tuned for that. But until next time, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell for more video updates. I do have an Instagram and Reddit account. Links are down below. So if you are liking what you see here, be sure to follow me on those other social media platforms. Reddit, I tend to share some blogs, not just about kit building, but other, I guess you could say, nerdy stuff as well. And of course, Instagram, I just share pictures of my reviews. And of course, like I mentioned before, there's a link down below in case you are interested in getting this kit. So I'm hoping last I checked, is still available under the site. Big Bad Toy Store. So link down below. So with all that being said, again, thank you everyone. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep on building.